A couple opportunities I certainly saw in the past and performed from is Elf Beauty, right? Now, Elf Beauty is actually an interesting stock because that's another stock I actually made a big mistake on, right? Didn't let it cripple me, but it was a big mistake I made. Elf Beauty, I held so many shares of Elf Beauty at one point, it's ridiculous. But as the company did better and better, I made a huge mistake and I sold out a lot of my shares. Most of my shares. I only hold 1,000 shares of Elf now at this point in time. Versus back in the day, I held a lot of thousands of shares. Let's just put it that way. And one thing you can learn from this kind of story is if fundamentals of a story are getting better and better with the stock, let it ride, okay? But Elf's a perfect example of a company I saw that was just heavily discounted. I noticed what they were doing with influencers, and I thought, wow, this company has extraordinary potential. I think their brand is in a really good position. I think whether there's a good economy, bad economy, based upon their product pricing, that they're going to do very well for themselves. And what do we have to show for it? A 1,469% gain in the public count over time, right? You look at a stock like Tesla, right? Good old Tesla, my Tesla. I mean, this stock has done absolutely incredible for us over time. Over 1,000% gain in regards to Tesla, right? And this is another one of those, 10x stocks. This is this was actually a spec stock in the public count. This was actually not a big position. My cost base is only $39,000, right? The position looks huge now; it's over $400,000, but I only put $39,000 of cost basis into these shares here, right? And when it comes to Tesla, this is just an extraordinary speculative kind of opportunity I saw in the market, where I looked at it and I'm like, this stock kind of trades like a spec stock, but I don't think it's a spec stock. And I think that we're going to move toward, over the next decade or so, like everybody going toward electric vehicles. The Tesla's in the pole position for that. They have an extraordinary CEO, Elon Musk. And I thought this was a great opportunity. And I looked at the demand for Model 3 and it just spoke for itself. This is our Model 3 had already been shown off. And I'm like, no one's creating this sort of buzz around a new vehicle. Like clearly this company's different. And I took a risk on that one, and certainly it paid off in a massive, massive way, right? And so you can find these sorts of opportunities in the market. Another good example, I owned NVIDIA in the public count at one point. I owned NVIDIA. Since that time, the stock is over 10x. And I sold NVIDIA for a small profit, right? So I wish I had held that one through all the way. Holy smokes, that'd be no joke. It's just another one I look at, and I look at those returns we've gotten in the public count, and I think, what would those returns have been if, I didn't sell most of my Elf shares, if I didn't, cash out of it? I mean, but in this game, you're going to make mistakes. It's part of the process, right? You're going to make some things you look back on and you're like, dang, why did I do that? But when you can still crush the market and you can look back and say, there's a lot of things I did wrong, it's a pretty darn good feeling. I will say that, okay? And so you're going to need to find some extraordinary opportunities. And, I can tell you there's a lot of stocks in the market that will be those next 5x, 10x, 15x, 20x type stocks. And it's up for you to identify those out there, find those stocks, and pounce on them and take advantage of those, right? Just don't get too caught up in the story. What happens is a lot of people get caught up into, excitement, and then they risk their whole portfolio on it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out for them, and then their portfolio is in a horrible place, right? Stay diversified in this game. Remember GVD, remember 1, 2, 3. Remember building out a great total portfolio overall, okay? Now, this matters significantly for Tesla stock, okay, for something I'm about to show you here. It also matters for the market in general in a pretty significant way, okay? First off, in regards to Tesla stock, it matters significantly because of this, okay? When you have Tesla come in and beat analyst expectations by 20,000 plus vehicles in terms of deliveries, right? That basically means likely their earnings per share is going to be much stronger in this current quarter than what analysts are expecting. And their revenue is going to likely be much stronger in this current quarter than what analysts are expecting. If that's the situation, then you likely are in a situation where the overall estimates for the current year are far too low, and you're going to have to bring all those up as an analyst, right? And the analyst expectations for revenue growth for the year are likely too low as well, and you're going to have to bring up those. Which also means if that's the situation, Tesla's actually trading at a far lower PE ratio than what it looks like right now, right? Because if we say, well, maybe Tesla's going to earn $4 this year, or $4.50 or $4.75 or whatever number you have, right? Then you can say, well, based upon what they're going to do for 2023 numbers, their forward P is actually far lower just for the 2023 numbers. But then if you're going to run those numbers, then you have to bring up all your expectations for next year as well. This is where it matters in such a significant way when you come in with a nice size beat, especially if we're talking a beat that's $1 billion or several $1 billion, because then you have to start bringing up your numbers for next year as well, because you have to take into the impact of Cybertruck, plus the company's just executing far better than anybody expected, really. Any of these analysts expected, right? So if you're a bearish or bullish analyst, likely tomorrow you're going to have to bring up numbers, and that's really, really darn intriguing. Okay, really, really intriguing. Okay, now why this matters for the stock market in general, in a pretty significant way as well, right? Is there's two parts of this. Okay, there's two parts of this that I think are very, very important in regards to this. Okay, the first component why this matters to the overall stock market is Tesla's a very big weighting. I'd say there's decent probability Tesla stock will move up and probably move up pretty nicely this week, given those results that just came out. So that obviously helps kind of pull everything up as well, right? A lot of the other big techs might pull up as well. So it's an overall help for the market in regards to that, okay? But the second factor, and I think this is far bigger, in my personal opinion, this is far bigger for the impact on the overall stock market, even bigger than the whole weighting of Tesla in the Qs and Tesla in the S&P 500 and all those sorts of things, okay? The even bigger factor of this is, maybe, just maybe, the worldwide economy is holding on a lot better than anyone anticipated. Now, that's nothing new to us. We're finding company after company, things are just coming in better than expected. But with a stock like Tesla, that could be seen as one of the most cyclical companies out there, right? Being that it's an auto manufacturer. And so folks can look at this and say, I think the economy is just stronger than a lot of people anticipate, which means Tesla, along with a lot of other companies, are going to come in with far better earnings per share and revenue expectations for the next few quarters than anybody thought possible, which means the stock market got it right again. The stock market has obviously been moving up significantly over the past 6 to 8 months. And it's been doing that because basically it's been thinking, right? Let's imagine the stock market's like an organism, right? That it can think and do all these things. Is basically thinking that earnings were going to accelerate in the back half of this year and get in a far better place. And when you see Tesla's results like they just put up here, it definitely looks like a realistic possibility that business is just better than anybody anticipated, which means the stock market would be right once again. And we saw the stock market sell off in a massive, massive way, obviously in 2022 up until really like the last 2 months of the year, right? And it did that because it understood like Q4 numbers are probably going to be bad, Q1 numbers are going to be bad, it was at a weaker economic environment. And then you see this move up while numbers are in a weaker troughing place, and you're like, why does the market keep moving up? Basically, the market's signaling that earnings are going to be far better than people anticipated in the back half of 2023. And the more I'm looking at, the more I'm thinking that's actually probably what's going to end up playing out here in regards to this. And so, which would mean, once again, the stock market actually gets it right as a whole, which is absolutely amazing, okay? So, really excited about these Tesla numbers, folks. Proud Tesla shareholder. I mean, I couldn't be more proud. The results, to put up these sorts of results, I think is just incredible right now. Just absolutely incredible. Very, very happy. Great job, Elon. Great job, team. A lot of super talented folks on the Tesla team. I've met plenty of them in the past. We've had a lot, obviously, because I'm, somebody that covers Tesla. We've had a lot of Tesla employees, join the private stock group over time. And I've had, great discussions with these folks. Every single one of them is, I can tell you, very, very high level. There's no one I've met yet at Tesla that works in Tesla corporate as an engineer, whatever. And we've had a lot of them over the years in the private stock group, right? There's not one of them I've ever been like, wow, this person works for Tesla. Every one of them I've walked away very impressed, very amazed at their intellectual capacity. Let's just put it that way. And it just goes to show you that this sort of team can put up these sorts of numbers time and time again. So